learning which has happened on similar type of projects, and and doing a construction which is a content enabled, using the fabrication and the other methodologies which are there to automate the workflow. And if you see on the top left that you are seeing, that's the process and the methodology that Trimble is following, and the way we are integrating different workflows. On the right, you are saying how Trimble technologies are helping in terms of the guiding the machines and the automating the machine processes. And on the bottom left that you are seeing the Trimble, consulting or the professional services team, how we are integrating the different requirements of the project life cycle from one end to the another, right from the planning to the facilities management and the operations. This is a slide which I would use more to say that this is, most of the people know that Trimble is the manufacturer of the survey and the geospatial equipments. We manufacture the optical equipments, the total station and others. We also manufacture the GNSS, the GPS or the global network satellite system based position capturing surveys and the scanners. And the beauty here is it's not only about Trimble. What we are talking here is that Trimble Business Center, which takes the data from any of these sources, be it from Trimble equipments or from any other equipment which you are using for the capturing of the data. And the beauty here is that we are providing a platform to integrate this data to enable this data to be used for the construction purpose or for the for making the analysis. Similarly, if you see the another piece where I'm moving now is to the vertical construction side capability. So the workflow is more or less from the left to right is same, but some of the products which people know in India are Tekla and the SketchUp, which they are using from the Trimble on the airports. SketchUp is used primarily for the the conceptual plan or for the layouts, and Tekla is used, as I said, right from the modeling, fabrication to the construction aspect. And the other story I have already explained, the connected, constructible, and the position-centric construction that Trimble provides. Coming to the horizontal piece, because airport is a unique example where the vertical construction as well as the horizontal construction, each part is involved. So these are self-explanatory. I've used these only to put a placeholder and to connect with the different people who are using some of the Trimble technologies, and then it would be easier for me to say that how the data which is created at different stages, and how this data which is used in silos today by different people who are using it in there, how this can be connected on the overall scale to build this and to bring it into a common data environment. So people who are using the working on the runways, taxiways, or even and the other thing that you see today in the airports is most of the airports that we are talking, these are just not the airports, they are actually a complete real estate hub. We are developing a aero city, aero hubs, and a small city which is coming there. So that actually is not limited to one aspect, that is right from the survey to the vertical construction buildings and to the roads and the other aspects of the construction. So taking this from the earthworks, so all the equipments that people use on the earthworks, Trimble has the ability to push the design parameters directly from your design, whatever models you have done, to the machines, and these machines are automatically controlled using the GPS. We have the ability to automate by controlling the hydraulics of these machines, whether it is on pavers, whether it is on graders, and providing a site positioning where people come, and do a testing. And the another ability which Trimble brings is that making the whole project into one common frame of reference, that different stakeholders who are coming, different contractors, subcontractors who are coming, by providing a simple technology of base stations and connecting with the rovers which people are bringing, we can put the whole project into one common frame of reference. And not only this, we would also be able to connect all these different systems that I spoke about, grade control system, site positioning, paving, or even the machines, just knowing how many dumpers are required, where are they, and which place they are required. We would be able to integrate those processes. And not only these, at the policy level, if somebody wants to know that on these projects, on 3-4 airports, how my projects are moving, are they moving, sitting at their offices, they can track this by using the data on the dashboards. Some of the, just to put an example, what I'm talking about, what you are seeing here on the left video that you are seeing, this is business as usual, where people are using the survey data for using the grade control system, giving the guidance through the string lines and others where the operator is using his skills in grading that system. In the middle that you are seeing, we have automated this whole grader by pushing the data and controlling the hydraulics of the machine, providing the accuracy and the guidance. So you see there is a minimal need of the survey people who are giving this guidance, and the operator is only pushing the machine back and forth. He is not controlling the blade of the grader. And to top this information, since this is all technology driven, it can be used 24/7. So we are able to automate the whole process, and we are able to use our resources independent of whether we have light or
Mr. Suraj, 3 more minutes, please. 3 more minutes.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
So it's not that people are not using this information. Today also, if you talk to Mr. Srikumar or, Mr. Parmeshwaran, you would see that people are using this information, but they are using this information today in silos. Like somebody would be using BIM because there is a mandate which is written in the contract where somebody would use only as a design BIM, but this design BIM is not used in the construction. At the most, it would be used for the clash-free models, or it would be used for giving you a GFC, good for construction drawing on a paper. And finally, this paper is used in the field for construction. So, taking this example, what Trimble is, providing the framework. This is one example which I'm saying. This is not only limited to this, that whatever information is coming from different stakeholders, somebody is using creating the CAD drawing, somebody is using the, civil 3D drawings for the runway, somebody is using the AGL drawings or the underground utilities or whatever. So all this information which is coming by the different stakeholders, created by different people, Trimble is content which is approved. So we are providing a platform. We are providing a process. Our team can help in doing that, in putting the content which is approved, which is organized and formatted through a QA/QC process, so that moving forward, whatever data comes to in this repository or on this platform, that complies to it. And the advantage which happens with this common data environment is that different stakeholders who are working on the airport projects or similar infrastructure projects, one of the most important thing is how do they communicate the strategy between the different stakeholders. So it could be in the forms of visuals, it could be in forms of 3D virtual reality or the augmented reality. So these are some of the examples which I'm saying. So by putting the common data environment platforms, Trimble Connect, Trimble Business Center, which I spoke about when I was talking about the geospatial equipments that Trimble makes, or some of the other data formats which our customers or which the stakeholders on that project are using, there is a possibility that we would be able to integrate all that and provide the usable information for the different stakeholders to be used on the airports. And this is one of the examples, which is a typical example of an airport, that once this information, which is, as I said, which is created and consumed by different people in silos today. So it's not that the information is not there. I'm giving an example that we were working on one of the airports here in India. So when we checked that what type of information you have. So
sir.
So all the information is there, but people are not able to pull that information and not use it in a meaningful format. So Trimble is in that, so together we have a possibility where we can integrate this and make it into a meaningful format. These are some of the examples how our technology is being used. So on the left, you see this is for the Hong Kong airport. In the middle, you see the different stakeholders, whether it is the e-com or whether different supply chain people who are part of the airport or the airport expansion. And the third example that you are seeing, which is the data and the model based management, that's an Indian example where it is used on the runway and the terminal. Unfortunately, I cannot take the name of that project today. And on the extreme right, you are seeing different field technology. As there would be a need on the project. Trimble provides that also. So while I am talking Trimble because I work for Trimble, but this is all about a data-based, construction story that I'm talking about. Some of the airports where we are working, as it is happening today, including the Delhi airport.
15 minutes.
I'm done. I'm done. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Now we turn to the panel discussion part, and we have a very interesting panel with us. And Mr. Suri, could you stop sharing the presentation so we can? Yeah, thank you.
I did.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for the presentation. We have a very interesting panel with us. We have, 2 people who've been involved with development of projects. We have 2 people whose focus has been primarily IT, and then we have 1 person who's engineering focused. And that should make it sort of interesting. So my questions are going to be different for different people. Let me go to our, so I'm first going to go to Dr. Parmeshwar and to Mr. Nag. Dr. Parmeshwar, because he's a consultant and will provide an overall holistic perspective, and then Mr. Nag, because he's been involved with development of, one of the landmark projects there. Dr. Parmeshwar, let me come to you first. What are the key challenges that are there in making sure that airport management and infrastructure happens in a timely and cost-effective fashion, especially in India?
Yeah, thank you, Alok. I think it is very difficult to draw some kind of common, the challenges which is applicable to all airport projects. If you look at a couple of projects in India, the Greenfield project, which is now running late. For example, if you take Goa has been delayed because of the judiciary intervention, because of the environmental issues. More than a year, the work was stopped, and again they restarted. Now another Greenfield airport in Navi Mumbai, that is delayed because of different reasons, a promoter-led reason. Now the latest is that again there is an ownership change happened. So if you look at every delayed project, you will always find there is a primary reason. Something is actually the driver that delays a project and also naturally makes cost overrun. However, yes, you are right that there are a set of the common challenges which in aviation, when we are talking about aviation mega projects. So one of the things which I always find which is challenging is to get a right contractor, right EPC contractor, because there is a real scarcity of the big contracting firm who has really experience in handling aviation mega projects. And you know that most of our mega projects are on EPC mode. So in EPC mode, what happens? We bring that design up to something like a scheme design or a preliminary design, then we call the EPC bid. And in a regulatory environment, you need to have transparent bidding. And naturally, there will be cutthroat competition. So this EPC mode itself, I'm not very sure that is going to be really cost effective. When you are going for a cutthroat competition, you always feel that, yes, I got the right price. But what happens is that, when the EPC contractors are bidding, the visibility what they have on the design aspect, because only, a schematic or preliminary design, they make a lot of assumptions. And they make, when the work is in progress, many of these assumptions and goes wrong. Then naturally the claims, variations, all those issues come up. And also in India, another thing is that the promoters are not permitted to directly take up the construction activities. That's not the case with many other countries. For example, in Cebu, when we developed the project, the GMR and Megawide, they are the operators, but they also formed a construction entity, separate JV, that took up the complete construction. So there, what happened? You are the complete control. And that also had a lot of difficulties. The budget was a constraint, the tight timeline, but still we took a call to go into, split up the scope into so many contracts. Around 1,200 packages were there, but still we could complete the project on time. And that project got world recognition, the way the project was delivered and the quality and the kind of terminal building we delivered there. So that opportunity is also not there in India. So basically, this is one challenge where, the major contracting firms are less. And again, this EPC mode with less visibility, we don't focus more into planning. And we always run aviation projects under pressure, maybe government pressure or from different kind of pressure. And we straight away go into execution mode. That is one issue. Another thing is, naturally, the environmental issues are becoming very common now. Like what I explained in Goa, most of the projects, despite having all the clearances, but still people can take you because there must be different reasons why people are taking you to court and getting, the work delayed. Then many other interventions you can see in India. It's very common to have political intervention during when the project is halfway, all of a sudden something happened, then you have to change the scope, then redesigns are involved. Then another challenge which I find in India is, most of our projects are again manpower oriented. We engage a lot of manpower, and recently you can find many of the projects in India, the aviation projects, are getting delayed because of the lack of manpower. then yes, these are the major challenges which I found generally, that lead to, and when it comes to government projects, Mr. Srikumar is there, he can also explain more, because that's again more hierarchical driven, the decision making. When it comes to decision making, they have issues, it goes to different levels and minor variations, to get it approved, it takes delay. So government projects have its own, another set of challenges. So altogether, I think these are the common challenges which generally happens in every project, and we are to fight with that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Let me go to Mr. Nag now. Mr. Nag, same question for you, sir. What are the big challenges that you're faced and that you're facing that in way of ensuring timely and cost-effective implementation? Yeah, please go ahead, sir. You have to unmute yourself, sir.
What Dr. Hari just now has stated, I think that is there. I mean, I think that is there, that will be there, those problems. But let me take it from the other perspective. The challenges, especially there are the projects now presently, the expansion that is happening in, say, Hyderabad and in Delhi. These are all brownfield project expansion. Especially in Delhi, it is highly complicated in terms of phasing of the work. It's almost a 10,000 crore project, and the terminal footprint from 60,000 square meter presently, it will be expanded to almost 192,000 square meter. But it is not a straight cut expansion. It is something I have to break. I call it that if I have to put one brick, then I have to break somewhere 10 bricks. Then only I can do. So that makes the project more challenging in terms of applying technology. Now, the applying technology, the first thing that comes up is that information building, information modeling. Information modeling. So information of a building is just not IT per se. It has got everything. It has got the brick and the plasters to the floors, the granites, and the things that goes below the floor to the above the ceiling, from their connection to the apron, from apron to the taxi lane to the taxiways, and then ultimately the runways that is being constructed or already constructed elsewhere. So obviously there should be some sort of a common thread of technology so that the construction, I tell everybody, construction team who does the job at the ground, they are my customer. And I have to see that they can do the job without any problem of misconnection, any problem of wrong design, any problem of having information which is twisted and turned somewhere. Those are the things which are my day-to-day cause the delay. So there comes the technology. The technology, now what Mr. Seri is talking about, Tekla is there, now there's an Autodesk is there, then there is a Bentley there. Hell of technologies are available. Shankar Naran is there from L&T. He was there with us, and we together worked for Terminal 3. And Terminal 3, 14 years back, that was construction. That time we used Beam, and this same, it is the Autodesk, Navis Works, and Revit. Those things have been used, but it was very complicated. The challenge is that it is not using of technology. Use technology during construction. Same technology, can I extend it during my life cycle servicing of the airport? Then we call it the actual, the success of the technology. Otherwise, just for construction's sake, I do the construction, and then if it doesn't serve my engineering team, my maintenance team, or my operation team at a later date, then there is, I guess, it is purpose half served. So to do that, I guess we need to extend this modeling in a manner so that my engineering team also get benefited at the end of the day. So that's one part. The second part, the engineering, when you carry out to do the construction, I need to see that everybody comes at the same speed. So the sequencing of all the packages, whether it is IT, whether it is MEP, whether it is their side, whether it is utility or the civil, everything should come up in a manner so that the modeling, when I sit with all the team member and see that yes, the model is clash-free. The model is set to go, and I'm withdrawing GFC from the model. I'll be connecting it with my program to see that what I'm doing in terms of time and cost. Is it making any sense? Can I do some sort of analysis and say that, yes, where these are the things which I'm going wrong? That's one part. The other part of the story is that how I can bring the qualitative aspect. One is quantity, other is the quality. Can I see the quality through the BIM? I think there is still a long way to go from all the technology provider to actually see my quality. Whether the granite that I put on my floor, there is no dilution. That beam will not, no matter what technology we have got. We talk about Tekla, we talk about Autodesk, Bentley, none, they'll show. So to think something else, so which can bring that sense of third eye to the management. It's not only simply, providing some sort of we call it a dashboard. Only dashboard will not serve the purpose unless until I do an analytical tool connected with that. So we have to have an analytical tool connected with that. All those technology together make a project successful at the end of the day. And my last word again, only project success is not the order of the day. The order of the day is how I can bring my life cycle cost within the control. Then the project is well served. That's all I'd like to say.
Thank you, sir. If I can go to Mr. Srikumar next. Mr. Srikumar, what are the kinds of challenges that you have faced when doing Airport Authority India projects? Not the PPP project, but the AI projects, sir.
Thanks, Alokji. Yeah, in Airport Authority, or rather in airport, we are doing and we had done also different types of projects. Normally, when we are talking about the airport, only the terminal building is coming in our mind. But I consider the runway system is more critical than the airport terminal building. Why the runway system is critical means runway is one part. The system means the total surrounding 20 kilometers of runway is the part of the runway system. So the data on all these things are very critical. Otherwise, what we will end in not able to make use of the runway what you constructed. There are ample of examples on this starting from Delhi, where after construction of a runway we are unable to use the full length of runway. Because this is because of the poor data collection and what Mr. Anand Srohi had pointed out, the lack of digital technologies we are using in our airport construction. So I think we have to improve a lot in the runway system capacity improvement and making use of the runway system properly. And there ample opportunities are there for improvement, not only the runway system, even the, what you can say, the ANS, navigation system also. Just 1 minute, just 1 minute. So this is where I had faced a number of challenges on this runway system part. Of course, the terminal building side, when we are thinking, the terminal building, the data collection and digital techniques we are using very recently only. There are a lot of scope for making use of the digital technology. Of course, now in Chennai, we are going to use in a very big way. So ultimately, what we are planning to do is that digital transformation, as it is taking place in a big way. And from planning to execution, operation, maintenance, and even the this management of airports, digital technology is going to play a vital role. And the data collection, along with the artificial intelligence, how we are going to make use of the data, the success depends on that. So optimization is the buzzword, and definitely that dynamic changes and optimization is what we are planning in our all future projects. We had faced a number of difficulties wherein we have not taken much care of the data collection and the proper use of that data. We had faced a number of problems. particularly as I mentioned, the making use of the full length of runway is one of the issue I faced in one or two airports. So there we are now trying to improve ourselves. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me now go to Mr. Ananteswaran. Mr. Ananteswaran, you are working on Navi Mumbai project. You've also worked on other projects before. In terms of the technology that you are able to use today, how does that compare, and what are the big differences in terms of performance? In terms of productivity, in terms of time taken, etc. So you have to unmute yourself here. Yeah, so we're not able to hear you. You have to unmute yourself. We were able to hear you earlier, so I don't know why that is the case. You're still muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's fine.
Sorry for that. So if you see traditionally, airport construction is a very complex set of tasks, and with disparate activities, different type of stakeholders, and this is probably one of the few construction projects where the regulatory stakeholders, regulatory and statutory authority are a part of your stakeholder who are involved in it during the construction of the project. So traditionally, if you see the when we were constructing Mumbai T2 airport, we had used some kind of a CAD models and a little bit of BIM models and some kind of AR in terms of like design walkthroughs and stuff like that. But I think the technology per se has moved ahead a lot in terms of what technology and data can offer. What I'll do is, for example, if you look at the London Heathrow, take London Heathrow as an example, they are for the fourth runway construction, they are almost using digital technologies to track millions of components that go into the runway construction. If you look at one of the largest airports in US, then they use GIS integrated with the 3D for the entire modeling capability. But what we need to look at is how do I move? We need to look at the endpoint in terms of the airport. From the construction, how do I move the entire digital data to operations? For example, nowadays a lot of airports are talking about BIM models and 3D models and digitization and stuff like that. But the issue still remains is that how do I put, when I'm doing the airport construction itself, how do I IoT enable or sensor enable all the components that go into the airport construction and build my BIM model and move it to a digital twin so that, and my operations can take over the entire digital twin with the full sensor data that is already available, that construction team has put in, and the entire digital twin is available to monitor the operations of the airport. So we are not talking construction per se. We are now moving from construction to operation. How do I seamlessly move my entire data and digital stream from construction to operation? Second thing is I see very important as a part of digitizing airport and collection of data and where one thing I missed mentioning is in an airport construction, since there are so many stakeholders, there are if you ask for a project status from somebody, 5 people have 5 different project statuses, and everybody will have their own statement of truth. And I think computer vision is a great technology to bring everything together. Okay, either you can do your entire your project management through drones, or having cameras at strategic places, or even things you use technology like smart glass. For example, what we are very keen to bring into Navi Mumbai construction is that we want to automate remote inspection through smart glasses. So a guy wears a smart glass, goes around different areas, and remotely that smart glass is monitored in terms of what is the status and inspection, quality assurance, and all those can happen through smart glasses, rather than everybody going and visiting the airport site, disturbing the entire construction process and stuff like that. So and the advantage of smart glasses and drones and all is that your computer vision data gets generated, which means that you can build your AI models on the computer vision, and ensure that you train that AI models to improve the quality of construction, improve the quality of project delivery, and improve the quality of and ensure that all the stakeholders speak the same version of truth during the airport construction phase. And last but not the least, which gets neglected in most of the construction project, is I believe that blockchain is going to play a very important role in airport construction, because uh, in an airport construction, items are manufactured all over the world. Okay, can I create immutable truth in terms of where the what? For example, if you take granite, if you have to manufacture it in a particular, if you have to mine it in a particular mine in let's say Italy. Okay, can I use blockchain to ensure that it's actually done there, and not I don't get some other equipment? This is like something like a food supply chain that Walmart has created, where they can track the entire food from where it is manufactured in Peru till the time it goes to a Walmart store in US. So we should be able to track the entire supply chain of all our equipment, from the manufacture, from the mining till manufacture, till actually the shipment comes into place, through a blockchain, where you create a chain of immutable truth. Okay, so I believe that going forward, even blockchain is going to play a very important role in the overall construction of the airport. That's all I have to talk about. Thanks.
Mr. Anteshwaram, just a very quick, brief follow-up. Are you getting all the stakeholders now on the same platform?
Yes, so we are. So there are some interesting things that we are doing, in the sense that for a construction, we are saying that our BIM is going to be the central truth of all this. Okay, so in fact, we are not even going to every drawing or everything that comes out in the system, which is acceptable by everybody, has to be updated in the BIM first, and then only it can be done. Earlier the thing was, BIM was lying somewhere else, the as-built drawing was somewhere else. Somebody makes a change in the hand, and change with the hand on drawings, and that is given for construction and stuff like that. Now we are actually reversing the whole process, saying that everything has to go to the system first, and then only the statement of truth comes out.
Great. Let me go to Mr. Shankar Narayanan now. Mr. Shankar Narayanan, could you give us a contractor's perspective? So far, we've heard the developer's perspective. How are you, interacting with the developers? How are you interacting with your subcontractors? How you're contracting with, different people? So what are the challenges that you face as a contractor? What role does digital technology play in, putting it on?
Alok, it's a very interesting discussion. I hear our clients speaking about their past experiences. There is a lot to learn. I just want to be slightly futuristic in the outlook here, and also cover what are the actual difficulties in the current digital solution deployment. If you really look at any construction project, we generate a lot of data. And those data, some of them gets recorded, some of them do not get recorded, some of them get recorded physically, some of them get recorded electronically, some of them is recorded in somebody's mind. So as an experience, And next time, some of these data only are utilized, this experience in terms of future decision making. Now, the technology is now available to start treating the data as an asset. Now, this asset, what are the technologies which has really changed and which is coming technology which is going to really make a difference is right from 3G, started 3G, 4G, now 5G is very much on the card, and the transmission of data is going to be a big bottleneck which is going to get eliminated. And we are going to have a lot of cloud computing resources where the storage is not going to be a problem. Then we have the machine, different types of sensor available, where some of those data which were not earlier recorded at all, now because we are putting the sensors, now those data are now directly getting transmitted to the cloud and getting recorded. So a machine performance, batching plant performance, grader performance, or a hot mix plant performance, what temperature it broke down, what are all those kind of information are currently online basis. The data is captured and recorded in the cloud. Now, not just recording, now we have another technology of artificial intelligence and big data analytics. Now, this big data analytics and artificial intelligence, what it does is it develops a pattern recognition in the data and puts in intelligence, and it's kind of putting in the brain to every machine. So every machine can kind of, there's an algorithm-based decision that can be used, that can be deployed. In fact, what Mr. Sirohi showed about the grader automatically cutting itself instead of operating the blade, it's very much a reality. In fact, we did use such a machine in one of our projects, and we have been seeing that it is a lot of traction is there in those such ideas. Now this data collection and electronically collecting it and analyzing it through artificial intelligence and making a decision is a future thing. And it is data is another currency with, that every organization is creating, and they have to use it. Now, in a complex project like airports, we have multiple stakeholder, multiple information sharing, multiple place decision making happens. Now, if somebody is taking a decision, now what is the database or expertise based on which he is taking a decision? Now, those decisions, can these data facilitate the decision making? That decision making, if it is based on just an experiential knowledge that he has gained and his memory, rather than if a particular the cloud-based and analytics-based, algorithm-based pattern is given to him, can he make a better decision making? Yes, definitely it is possible. Now, this is a kind of information that data and this digital technology can bring in a change. Now, where and all is applicable, right from engineering stage. Say somebody is want to design a terminal building, architectural thing. Can I do some simulation of the people? Can I do an actual study of how the queuing actually happens in a custom counter or immigration counter, and make sense out of it? And can I bring in as a future design, can I make a better design, and the layout can be better implied? Can I increase the retail footfall by looking at the passenger movement? So this is a kind of, then for this, we need to collect real-time basis the data, which currently we are not collecting, or it's collected in the physical form and not analyzed. We should be able to collect it together and do it. Now, this is for the design stage, and we can do, of course, visual, virtual modeling, digital twin they talk about, where you can actually virtually create the airport, and including the finishing material, everything you put in, and the decision making of which finishing material to choose, with all those things, without actually creating the physical model, physical building, we can make a decision, and the decision making can be cut down a lot. Now, even in construction, when you say, right from the machine operation, what machine to deploy, and even if you are runway construction, huge stockpile of different material, bulk material is there. Now, what volume is stored where? One drone survey and 3D imaging, and you are able to pinpoint, accurately find out what is the quantum of material that you have stored, what is the inventory control. Now, there are digital, we have several digital apps that we have developed in the last 3 years with our CEO's push, wherein we have digital store, where every material, what is available in the stores, whom it has been issued, at what point the request was made, all those things are readily available for anybody to see in the digital store. Now, you can do a similarly quality control or safety related thing. Every quality control inspection and every safety inspection, safe to start, everything which was previously done on paper. It's all now done on app, and it goes to the cloud and it gets into the organization database. Now we are able to kind of analyze and find out which engineer is more safety conscious, where more quality related issues are coming out. These kind of analytics are now possible. Now this is a hugely value adding things which can drastically improve efficiency in every aspect of this thing. Like even in progress monitoring, say there is a batching plant, a concrete dispatch, and somebody says I produce so many cubic meter of concrete, and somebody and can I relate with that quantity that was dispatched from batching plant, and this is matching, and can I relate it to the subcontractor billing and automatically push the data into subcontractor billing system wherein the bill gets automatically generated. All these things are very much a possibility, and we are already trying out in some of these projects. So I think digital technology can really transform, and airport projects, because of complexity, it is more applicable and it is going to really make a difference. That's what I want to share from here. You are muted.
Yeah, let me go to Dr. Parmeshwar. Dr. Parmeshwar, you've been involved with the overseas projects, you've been involved with Indian projects, and I'm assuming in your current position, you're dealing with, projects across the world. How would you compare, the development or construction of Indian airport projects versus global projects? That's question one. And question two, well, if you can answer the question one, and then right after that, I'll follow up with the question two.
Okay. So apart from this digital technology, what we have been discussing about, yes, there is certainly a big difference about how we are adopting digital technology in India and how in abroad. In fact, I know that during my BAL day, long back, Zurich Airport used to do GIS for their complete asset mapping and the way they used to handle the data in the projects. So today, even we are all talking about BIM here. We are all talking about, making this modeling, a building model again, the detail, even if you make a detailed design, it comes up to something like LOD 300 or 350. Now again, at the end of there, today the technology has gone in such a way that we are talking about not simply 3D models, we are talking about 4D, 5D, 6D, up to 7D. In fact, earlier some speaker has mentioned on this. Finally, what we need is not stopping this digital, technology or digital, the way we are adopting the data, not for construction, further, taking it up to asset management level. So that is where this 4D, 5D, 6D, like scheduling, cost control, sustainability, and going up to asset management. Finally, the people who are operating this airport should be able to use the same model. So what we generally do in globally all our mega projects, like if it is a greenfield project, for example, it is not terminal building. Yes, a BIM will come. And when it comes to airfield, whether it is runway or there are a lot of models are going to be there, starting from your earthwork model, master grading model, utility model, your payment model, then landside model. Finally, we integrate everything into a civil information model. That is going to be the bigger, the model. That single model is what finally we hand over to the client. So the client now, any number of stakeholders are going to come, any number of contractors are going to come. They are going to work on the same platform. And finally, when you complete it, every shop, the shop drawing, the model, up to shop floor level model will be developed by the contractors. From there, finally, it goes up to LOD 500. When you complete the project, then you will be able to take out as-built drawings. So that kind of a technology, adaptation is not happening in India. This is one part when it comes to technology part. Apart from, I can say that generally, what happens in most of our airport projects, I mentioned earlier, we always take up a project under pressure due to various reasons. On the moment a project is sanctioned, we always want to hit the ground. So we don't spend enough time on completing our planning and also maybe signing up the design. As I said, the EPC mode, we go up to a schematic design where we have very less visibility, then we award the contract. Then during the construction, we start developing, the real design. So that creates a lot of issues, confusion, ending up with variations. All these issues happens. Then I think in India, another one big challenge what I'm finding is the construction safety is a low priority item here. In fact, for AECOM, the safety is our topmost value because we value the human life as the most important thing. But in abroad, that's a situation with every country. But in India, I think it is always on backseat. We have to improve a lot. Again, now technology is coming there for whether it comes to quality or safety or everywhere. The technology adaptation, we can do it. Then similarly, in Indian project, I am also finding that the risk management, it is not even an important function. If you look at the organizational structure of the project management, the risk management is, you don't find that as an important function. That is also a low priority item. Then the projects outside are more technology oriented, automated, but we depend, still we are struggling with the manpower. Right? Every airport project you'll find 5,000 people working in the field. Right. That is not a abroad. Hardly will find 100 people, 150 people working, and they produce more. So this manpower oriented, again, the skill part, we don't have a certification, even though under pressure, the contractor is going to bring 5,000 people. Out of them, how many are actually skilled? The skilled labor is not there in the market. Right. So I think these are the bigger challenges I found when you are comparing with our Indian projects, and same, the projects what AECOM is handling elsewhere. Right. I can see this in our approach.
Okay. A very quick follow-up for you, Dr. Parmeshwar. In terms of use of technology, how does that compare? I'm assuming, in other countries, advanced countries, everyone is using the technologies. Is that the case in India? What do you think?
Pardon, I could not get the question.
Yeah. Is everyone who's part of the process, developer, contractor, subcontractor, others who are involved, are they all using technology to the same level, or is one chain in the link sort of lacking?
No, it cannot be same level. The level is going to be different, but the platform has to be common. You have to use the same platform from beginning. For example, if a designer is going to bring it only up to a certain level, but what platform the designer is using, further, whether EPC contractor or the developer, they have to continue with the same platform. It's not only about modeling I'm talking about. For example, simple thing like document management. When we have a tool we use in AECOM for all our mega projects called AMS, that is AECOM major project system, where every stakeholder, it can have multiple, the levels, the real-time monitoring, real-time controlling, real-time decision-making is possible. Every process is driven through the same system. So if you want to have this one limited to only up to a program level, where only the, the developer or basically the consultant or the main contractors are involved, we can do that. If you want to go down further into the package level, we can do it at the package level. Right. So every document is controlled there, every daily communication happens through that. People sitting elsewhere, anywhere in the world can get into that. They can monitor the status. Real time, that today, what exactly happened to the site, how much runway has been constructed, how much earthwork has been done today. The S-curve currently get modified. All those things are possible, but the platform is same.
Okay.
But the data input and the data usage by different stakeholders are going to be different.
Okay. Let me go to Mr. Nag now. Mr. Nag, who would ensure that we have IT enabled, end-to-end work? Is it the job of the developer or contractor or a project management consultant? Who should drive it? And who in practice drives it?
Who should drive it?
Yes.
Who is developing it? It is his job. Now the question is whether he alone can do or he divides the responsibility between the contractor. Ultimately, if you want to drive a technology, one question that Dr. Hari was just now referring to was whether everybody is at par or not. No, it is not. They are not at par. For example, L&T is a main contractor, say for Delhi and Hyderabad both, and they have got many subcontractors working under them. But they are not all at par. They are not all efficient in using Revit works, Revit modeling, or using 3D technology to do that. So, who is doing the modeling now? I have a modeler with me, and also so does the L&T has got. So what you do is we first see, this is the actual step. We first see that for a given area, all these all the other subcontractors, their drawings and the engineering informations are at least up to category B level, so that those informations are almost ready and barring certain minor changes here and there. So then those information are to be collapsed into a 3D modeling. When I worked in US and UK long back also, and that time 3D technology was available to them, and there the subcontractors are equally good. So the platform was shared by the either developer or by the main contractor to all the subcontractor, and they use the same common database. They work onto that. The data is synced at the end of the day, and next day the completely synced data is available for further development. And the same data is also shared with the construction team. So everybody, right from the supplier to the subcontractor to the main contractor, using one common system in their own area. So all are absolutely knowledgeable, capable of doing those, using that particular tool. Here is not possible. Here Wellington is very efficient and they're a very large organization. They can do that. They can carry these subcontractors, but we have a long way to go to have all these subcontractors, to bring them to that part, to that level of excellence where they can work on a common data system independently, with, of course, the handshaking part need to be worked out, but they can work independently so that work becomes much easier, simpler. What we believe is construct as engineered and commission as constructed. So the engineering is very important. The engineering information flow is very important. Control of the flow is very important, and so is the data. So that is what it is.
Okay. Mr. Nag, if I can ask you a different question, when it comes to brownfield or expansion or upgradation projects, and some of your projects are going through that now, you have a situation where, do you have a situation where when Hyderabad was first done, it wasn't all digitized, and now you're looking at expansion, or you're looking at upgradation? How do you handle those issues?
No, that is the reason in my present organization, GMR, we have got a sector created, airport construction sector developed, and because there is a huge amount of investment to the tune of 17,000 crore, so across 3-4 projects. So obviously, the essence, the way one project is doing, the other project should not be fall behind. So there is a common flow of data, common flow of work processes, common flow of one truth, the way the project management process are being handled. So that is why in GMR, then we have a project management tool, which is based on 3. One is governance, work systems, and delivery systems. So these are 3 pillars. We got the SOP, standardized, same, everybody is following the same, the version, same point. If I pick up one presentation, management presentation, it will be for one project. The other project will also in the same format, same way. So there is no other difference. So that is how actually talk about the burger of McDonald's should taste same, whether you are in US or in Delhi or in Hyderabad. So the purpose is that one common link across the project development. Then only we can, we can see that yes, we are using the best information in a way so that we get the maximum benefit out of it.
Okay, Mr. Nag, we hear a lot about this word data-led construction. How much is reality? How much is hype?
It is, good thing is that, it's again, only developer cannot do, only consultant cannot do, or only contractor cannot do. Everybody has to come together to make it happen. And to the great extent, India has really made a very good progress in this regard. So it's not a hype. It is really happening. So I could see in my lifespan, I could see that, yes, things are there. It is happening. So, and there is a lot of good pride everybody can take. So, and that's how the present way everybody is working. Everybody is thinking in one term is called efficient. So the efforts should be efficient, safe, and
Let me go to Mr. Srikumar and to Mr. Raj. Mr. Srikumar, what about the interface between engineering and construction, and the role the digital platform can play, and is it playing that role?
With your permission, shall I ask Mr. Bob Raj?
Absolutely, yes, yeah. That's why Mr. Raj is here as well. Yes. So, Mr. Raj, in addition to my question, are you able to satisfy Mr. Srikumar, because he has the engineering and he has the design, but then do you supply with him all the tools and analytics to make sure that it's done right?
Sir, very good afternoon. Very good afternoon. Sir, to be frank, it's a very tough question to answer. Because at the outset, as Mr. Hari Parameshwar expressed very clearly, many of these things requires a very clear-cut planning. See, as we are very well, see, before the commissioning of the airport, it's a assembly of stakeholders, and after the construction, it's again another assembly of stakeholders working to meet their goals. So, planning what exactly we want and what exactly the things we need to monitor through the dashboard, and which are the data available which is required to be integrated, decided. So most of the time what is happening is, as and when it is occurring, we think that okay, such a thing is to be done. So by the time what is happening, the work is awarded, that L1 is decided, the scope of work is defined. So it is very difficult to incorporate at that point of time. So until and otherwise we define it very specifically what is to be done and what is to be monitored. And as Mr. Ananteshwaran told like that, no, see that the virtual glass tools are there. So does our BIM is in a position to identify what exactly the target to be met at this point of time, whether we are meeting it when the person goes to the site and can the system measure it and intimate us. So those kind of things to be defined in the beginning itself, then it will be very easy. Then the project will progress in the systematic way. It will show you the shortcomings. It will show you, suppose there's a change in between the project and between the construction start, somebody is suggesting it. Do we have that in the scope? Do we have the BOQ defined for that one? Whether my system is in a position to inform me that one, once I'm changing that one, this additional something to be constructed. So that integration, that data flow, that is most important. And most of the time we are happening, the systems are working in silos. Databases are scattered across, they don't talk each other. We need that kind of, we need open policies, we need open APIs and AI-based predictions, VR-based guidelines. When only these study-based correlations, then we will be in a position to do it. Otherwise, it's not that easy. We may have a lot of systems, but which will not talk each other, or which will not define or create a dashboard for us. So that is very much important. That is required to be defined in the beginning itself. That is very much required. That is slightly lacking. And as Mr. Sujit told us, in foreign countries, it is available, but we lack here. That is very essential. That's my point. Sir, you are muted. Sir, you are muted.
Mr. Srikumar, Mr. Raj is saying he needs a clear-cut, information requirements, etc. Are you able to give him the clear-cut ones?
Yeah, of course. As I told, this data collection and making use of the data starts from the planning stage itself. So the planning, we are able to give a sufficient time for deciding the things. Definitely, there will be going to failure. But I think nowadays we are able to give more time for planning, and in a better way the data we are collecting and making use of it. Because of course, not only for greenfield airports, even for brownfield airports where it is more critical, we are making use of the digital technology to get the data, and with the help of the artificial intelligence, we are able to plan in a better way nowadays. What Mr. Raj told is correct. Still, there is room for improvement. And we are studying it in a better way nowadays.
Okay. Let me go to Mr. Ananteshwaran now. Mr. Ananteshwaran, Navi Mumbai is a big project, also a complex project. Also, it's gone through many stages and might go through another review if we read the reports in the newspapers. What sort of digital platform have you created for it, for the Navi Mumbai itself? And is that different from whatever was used in the past?
Yeah, so we have for Navi Mumbai especially, we have BIM as our, we have created BIM as our platform, and lot of it has to do with the process itself. Like I said earlier, also is that people used to take drawings, make a hand adjustment to drawing. This should not, and whatever the hand adjustments are done in the drawing, it are put back into the system and stuff like that. So we have changed a lot of process. In terms of usage of the entire model, we have implemented a lot of processes. I think which is as critical as the technology itself. The process becomes as critical as the technology itself. So we have changed the overall process of in terms of how do we interface digitally with each other. However, I would like to add, based on the discussion that I've been happening today, I believe that going forward, to really have digital and data-driven airport construction between the developer and the EPC, I believe the contract should have a separate digital section in terms of a common understanding between the EPC and the developer, saying that these are the digital stuff that we need to do. Okay, which may be the way how we collect data, how we analyze data, how we use AI ML, or how we use digital walkthrough with AR and VR and stuff like that. So I believe that I would like to at least see that day when EPC contract has a separate digital section saying that, okay, this is what our common understanding is, and that requires a lot of digital maturity from the developer as well as the EPC company.
Okay, so let us get to Mr. Shankar Narayan's viewpoint on that, on what you just said. Mr. Shankar Narayan, how do you respond to that?
It is an excellent suggestion by Mr. Ananteshwaran. Like, I definitely agree that just like as we prepare a project quality plan, has a safety plan and a quality plan, we can have a digital plan, and the digital plan will completely talk about how will you be capturing the data, how will be sharing the information, and what kind of minimum requirement is expected from all the participants in terms of subcontractor, vendor. When you finalize a vendor for engaging, minimum this much he should do, and he should provide for, he may have an internal organization strength to do it. He can always engage an agency, and there are multiple small agencies which will be able to support him. And he may have to, these costs are not very prohibitive, and the value that gets created are much more than the cost that is additionally incurred. I think it's a wonderful suggestion, and I think that's the way to go in the future.
Okay. Mr. Siroy, you've been patient listening in. If I can come to you right now, and if you can just, listening to all of this, what is some of the things that strike you that you would like to share? Not Trimble specific, but in general, the things that what would be, as a consultant, what are some of the things that you would advise them to do? If you can do that in a couple of minutes, yeah, of course.
So what I heard from, Mr. Parmeshwar and Mr. Shankar Narayanan, as well as, the airport authority, all of us, we agreed that the data is getting created, but this is in silos. I think all of us, we said. We also heard another thing, that the project is announced and then we are asked to prepare for the project. So we need some preparation time. And that's the differentiator with Dr. Parmeshwaran spoke about, how the data is handled outside India and how, we start a project preparation in India. So obviously there are technologies available which are creating a whole platform of integrating right from the planning, because planning, I think one of the differentiators from my experience also, which I would say, people spend a lot of time in planning outside India. Whereas in India, the project, it starts when the tender happens, when the contractor gets the project. And many times, and I am engaged personally with at least 4 to 5 developers as well as airport authority. We are clearly seeing that there is some amount of, so there is a will, but at the same time, we need to make some decisions, like, as a regulator or as a owner or somewhere. So whether contractor would use only the digital technology where he's seeing the benefit in the construction, where he's saving either on, time money or on the quality side. So if we have to integrate this, the technology is available, people are available to do it in India, and the same people who are doing it in India, the same people are doing outside also. Like AECOM, the same team probably delivers the project in India as well as outside. So there is a know-how. The systems are available here, whether it is A company or B company, almost everybody provides it. But we cannot deny a fact that while everybody spoke about BIM, but can anybody contradict me by saying that the BIM in India stops after getting a good for construction drawing on paper, and that drawing is used for construction? And that is where I'm taking some liberty here, saying that BIM is still in infancy in India, which is limited only to the design BIM.
Let me ask Mr. Ananteswaran to respond to you, because he's saying BIM is his platform for the Navi Mumbai project.
Yeah. So if using BIM after construction, if I can't take it to operation and build a digital twin, okay, half the purpose of that BIM is lost. I would agree with Anand that at the end of the day, a BIM has to translate into a digital twin so that my operations can take over and run the entire airport digitally. And that is and which includes all engineering, mechanical, electrical, electronic, IT systems, and stuff like that. So BIM is not the end. BIM is not the end of the road. If BIM becomes the end of the road, then you have only achieved half your purpose in terms of what you want to do.
Okay, all right. Okay, Mr. Sirohi, any comments?
Yeah, if I may add, Mr. Anant, I'm sorry, I'm not. Ananteswaran just said. So, somewhat he agreed that BIM is stopping at getting the GFC drawing. But if you translate, taking this data, using it on your, whatever, whether it is done by the labor or by the machine, if we are able to capture, what is the surface that has been created by automating the process, so your as-built becomes a byproduct of your construction process. And this is all digital. This is moving seamlessly from planning to the as-built construction in a digital format. You don't have to put extra effort. And when I said common data environment, where different people are bringing different sets of information, be it planning, be it GIS, be it BIM, ultimately, using these platforms, we should be able to drive to the next phase by communicating to the different stakeholders down the line and ultimately capturing the as-built information, which is used for the life cycle management of the project, because the airport will be used for 60 years, 50 years. The construction will finish in 3 to 5 years. So the actual benefit of this technology is in running the operation.
Thank you. Let me just go to very quickly to Mr. Narayanan. Mr. Narayanan, there are many subcontractors in the L&T ecosystem. And how do you ensure that everybody is do you share all your platforms with them?
Yeah, it is. I do agree that there are challenges with respect to capabilities of not being equal because of various vendors being different. But when it comes to a necessity, there is always a solution, and we find the solution. And in case if it is required, we can say that you have to have this agency tie up for doing this BIM modeling, or we do the BIM modeling, and that can be a back charge. That kind of you produce the information. That information later on gets converted into 3D BIM model and integrated, and that will be used. And until that final BIM model is there, it is your responsibility, and for that some additional resources you may have to give. There can be a solution definitely worked out. I think it's not
when you use a subcontractor, what do you make them go through? Do they have to adopt your systems? What is the process that is here to ensure you're on the same?
It is it varies from project to project. There are projects we say that it is mandatory that you have to have this thing, and clients do a pre-qualification, we also do a pre-qualification of our vendors before calling in. So all of them cannot, if they are not able to meet to our expectation and requirement with respect to minimum competency, they should not be part of that process. Or we can suggest if you want to be qualified, then like any mega project, if some small contractor is not qualifying, he ties up with another person and then he pre-qualifies himself and then comes on board. Similarly, they also must do it.
Okay, Mr. Anantheswaran, what do you see? Where do you see people lacking? Which part of the chain is sort of the weakest? Which link is the weakest, as far as you're concerned? Because you deal with lots of different stakeholders.
Yeah, the part in terms of data, the weakest part is the weakest part is the transfer of that knowledge from project to operations, and like I keep saying, like what Anand also said, is that if BIM doesn't translate to as built, and as built doesn't translate to digital twin, your whole chain breaks. Okay, like while you may have done a good project or a great project, you are breaking the chain. Chain has to be from the from the planning till operations, right? And the weakest link for me is the disconnect there. And second thing is the second weak link is the common statement of truth that everybody agrees during the project phase. All stakeholders, including developer, the contractor, subcontractor, stakeholders, everybody agreeing that what is the statement of truth that we all agree is correct. Everybody cannot have his own statement of truth.
Okay. Dr. Parmeshwar, I know that you alluded to it a little bit in our conversation about, construction to operation. So how does that happen? How do you ensure that sort of transfer happens as Mr. said? That's the weak area.
Look, I fully agree with what Anand said and now Anand said. See, the what happens, I will tell you where this gap is there. Now, I can tell you without naming even a couple of my projects, I'm facing this problem. What happens is that as a designer, because I am supposed to give, the 100% design development. So we give a model, which is, we call it LOD 300, where in certain cases, if client specifies, we go a little bit more beyond that to go up to LOD 350. 300 or 350 is the detailed design there, it ends. Then everybody want to take out the GFC out of that and start a construction. Now, in this particular contracts, what happened is that this responsibility of developing this BIM up to detailed design and bringing up to GFC level is in our contract, but in the EPC contract, somehow that is missing. Now we are insisting the EPC, now you use the same model, all the fabrication drawings has to come out of that, then you need to update because LOD 300 is not enough. That is not giving further. The contractor is supposed to take it forward. Every nut and bolt, all the details about the hall, the fittings, nut and bolt, those details has to get into that. Then only he can develop a fabrication model out of that. Now that is not the end there. Even if contractor is going to develop all the say shop drawings from this model, he update it. When the work is completed, it has to again move to LOD 500. He can bring it to LOD 400. LOD 500 automatically doesn't happen with that updation. Now you have to, the developer has to give all the asset tagging, every kind of detailing about the inventory, lot of input. Again, lot of people have to work together to make it up to LOD 500. Then what happens? Your entire inventory is already there. Even if you talk about a simple thing like a firefighting system or a plumbing system, the different kind of fittings, each fittings will have an asset tag on that. Even entire inventory you can take out of that. Your maintenance plans can be done. This is what you are supposed to hand over to the operation and maintenance team. So if they use that model for the operation, then it goes. So that's why I told you when the 3D is gone now. We are talking about up to 7D now. 7D is nothing but the asset management. If we are not able to bring this model at least up to LOD 500 plus and hand it over to the operation, they will not be able to make the asset management. If that is not happening, then all these exercises what we have done, that become only an exercise for the construction, completing the construction. It is not going to, again, tomorrow you want to make an expansion. The people will struggle. You will not be able to use the updated model for taking it forward.
Okay. Mr. Nag, if I can come to you. Mr. Nag, at right now, how many projects does GMR have at right now? Mr. Nag? You're muted, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. I can hear you now.
I understand your question.
Yeah,
If
sir,
I understood your
how many-
question, you asked me.
Yeah, sir. How many projects does GMR have right now, including the upgradation and brownfield and all of those?
At present in India, there are 4. And in Philippines, Shibu projects, that's completed. And there is Clark project is going on. That's also on the verge of completion. Final ORAT is going on. There's one project there in Greece. So that will be coming up, technical
And sir,
commercial closure on the verge.
Are you using the same
This is how
platform
it is.
for all projects? Are you using the same platform for all projects?
What do you mean by platform? You're talking about
The digital platform in terms of monitoring from your project management self.
at present, all across our projects in India, it is Autodesk. So that's where the BEAM is. Again, the project delivery is not only BEAM. Project delivery is beyond the BEAM. Project delivery is how efficiently every other than the main contractor, whether the main contractor has got the capability or not, as a developer, one should have the capability to bring all the parties together on the one common platform. See, the airport is very complex. It starts with the master planning. So the master planning does some, put the basic figures into the place. Once the basic figure is done, then comes the preliminary design. That's the 30-minute. The concept design is done. So one has to really start right from the scratch so that you get the best benefit. Just now, Dr. Hari was talking about 350. If it will really get the things done properly and you want to transfer it to your operation team, it should go at least LOD 500. Not only 500, the terms of reference of making that 500 fully functional, you have to go to the digital twin. Digital twin per se, easier said than done, because you have to have then all the, the processes properly mapped into that, operational process properly mapped into that. So you get the best advantage out of it. You need to have GIS. I tell you what, in a given runway, so for example, in IGI airport, there are 3 runway systems and you have numerous taxiway systems. Total number of AGL labs are actually of the order of 16,000. Fourth runway will add some other 1,500 or so, 700 or so lab, AGL lab. The question is something goes wrong. I mean, one lamp goes switch off. Presently all lamps are not, digital. I can say addressable. Wherever the decision-making points are there, those are all addressable. So how we can really make it so that you don't take much of time to fix the lamp busting or the lamp going unserviceable with that minimum time. So can we apply GIS here? Here is the technology that beyond BEAM that we have done. We have got the brand GIS. Now GIS and BEAM together can serve a wonderful platform to make it really happen. GIS and BEAM together, at the end of the day, when you do the operation, then you want to make some changes. That's a huge advantage to the operational team. So you have to think beyond BEAM, you have to think somewhere the other technology that could bring, that depends. What is the appetite? What you like to, and lastly, I'd like to tell one thing. One is the technology, other thing is the training. Whether the people are fully trained to understand what is there, how I can get the best benefit out of it. So these are all the questions. I think in this regard, that's how I call it the airport. The other part is the capacity. Capacity is not the number of passenger per square meter I can handle, or given area I can handle. It is the capacity of all the people, that is, capability of serving the 2 most important clients, that is passenger and the airlines. Ultimately, developers serve, they have the only 2, the customer, passenger and the airlines. And third one is, of course, the freight forwarder who brings the business. So that is how I stop on this, because the time is already over, and we need to go beyond that. I think this is something you keep on talking. There is no end to this.
Right.
And
right. Sir, if I can So if you can ask the
Mr. Brara, with your permission, can I just take 10 seconds? So two things which Mr. Nag said, and I'm happy that this happened, because I mentioned that when we talk about integration of the data. Now, BIM is only one piece. When I even presented in my 10 minutes, I spoke about GIS, geospatial, construction, sim side. So that answers to a certain extent what Mr. Nag said. Another point with Mr. Parmeshwaran very clearly spoke the level of the development, and he spoke from 300 to 500. Now, this particular mandate that at what level project management consultant or contractor has to do, this has to clearly come from the developer or from the owner. Nobody else can define what level of details are required on that project.
Okay. All right. Let me go to Mr. Srikumar and to Mr. Raj. Mr. Srikumar, Airport Authority has, of course, many projects at any given time, and you have many airports that that are under development, under construction, under upgradation at all. So how do you sort of make sure that everyone is working on the same platform, same designs, and then are platforms similar from airport to airport in terms of project management, in terms of project oversight?
No, definitely it is no. At present, Airport Authority handle 2 greenfield airport and 4 or 5 major airports. Major airports means more than 1,000 crores.
Right.
And same number of projects are in planning. Another 2 greenfield airports and 4 or 5 major projects are in planning. So all these projects, I can say, maybe in the same platform. We are thinking about what you can say, digital technology and other things. Whereas there are so many other projects, particularly in the regional connectivity schemes, small airports are coming up. We are still going for conventional methods only, because I think it is very difficult to impart the technology to grassroots level and bring a major change at this stage. But definitely, when the time passes, I think everything will come to same platform, and we will be able to make use of the digital technology in a more better way. That is what I think.
Okay. Mr. Ananteswaran, is there something that as you listen to other people, something that comes to your mind that you feel I haven't asked you, or I think something that needs to be said?
I think a lot of our conversation was lost on BIM and construction process and stuff like that. But I believe things like technologies like computer vision, the way you want to do your quality inspection through artificial intelligence and computer vision and stuff like that. A lot of those will come into play as we go along, and as the developers also mature in terms of using these technologies. So I believe our focus got into the project development process itself, but data generation process and the use of AI ML in the data generation process is something that we should be focusing on a lot more.
Okay. Mr. Narayanan, the same question for you that I asked Mr. Ananteswaran. I mean, what came to your mind as you were listening to it and you said, okay, this has not been discussed?
Pardon? That is something which is missed out in the discussion?
Something that we've not discussed that you felt needed to be highlighted.
I think we have fairly covered every aspect of it. And probably what we should also think about is for future, we should be more futuristic in outlook, and what we do for our next project when we kind of roll it out or request RFQ documents are pushed in. So there are definite gaps that has been expressed by some of the O&M people and the people who are, there are pain points. These pain points are, everything has got a solution, and these solutions should be conceptualized and can be, some corrective action can definitely be done. I think that is the natural follow-up of the whole thing. I think that should be part of the decision.
Okay. Dr. Parmeshwar, same question for you. Something that you felt needed to be highlighted, needs to be emphasized, or something that strikes you, something that... I haven't had an opportunity to say.
Yeah, so the technology part, I think the modeling is not the end. The coming days are going to be much, much different because robotics is now already started playing its role. The robots already started taking over, many of the routine works in construction. It can take it can take over from human. And drones are extensively used now for the real-time monitoring. Then artificial intelligence certainly going to play a big role. Even 3D printing is already started implementing in many of the projects. 3D printing is going to, these are all going to, make big changes in coming days. But one thing probably what we missed out is about simulation, because this is even in India also, most of the airport projects, very important, especially for the brownfield expansion project. And we have a lot of uncertainties, and these simulations, about all the terminal process simulation can be done now. All the baggage simulation can be done. Complete capacity analysis can be done through the simulation. Complete airside simulation, including your stands, airside simulation. The landside traffic simulation can be done. GSC traffic simulation can be done. I think this simulation, is a very wonderful tool which is used in most of the airport projects now. Now, India, we have many projects now we started using it. Most of the airport operators always want the simulation. So that removes most of the unpredictability, during the construction that we need to use extensively. And similarly, when it comes to operation part, the ORAT is most important part, the operation readiness and the transfer. So there are now a lot of technology, lot of tools have come where, because this ORAT is something you do all the trials, 2 to 3 months, all the stakeholders involving maybe 200, 300 people have to work to see that all the integration trials are done. Now these visual walkways are possible. All the stakeholder engagement can be done through many, these tools. So many things we can do without having the physical trial. I think these are the India should explore more on the simulation, this visual walkways, and yes, like in next couple of years you will find it happening in India.
Mr. Nag, if I can come to you for my last question to you. Mr. Nag, when you meet your project directors or people who are heading projects, when you meet your project directors, what do you tell them the 2 or 3 things they must watch out for? And I'm not talking only digital. I'm just saying, as somebody who represents the owners, you say to them, here are the things you must watch out for, or here are things you must do. Whatever 2 or 3 things that you tell them.
Well, we start always with the quality. Quality, safety, time and cost. This is how the hierarchy we follow in GM.
And if they ask you, Mr. Nag, how do we do time and cost?
It's not first and second, it's both together, and then time and cost. Yes, sir, I couldn't get you the question.
Yeah, sir, and if they come back to you and say time and cost, what are the 2 or 3 things you can tell us about time and cost?
If you ask me that question again, I'll say it is time and cost.
Time and cost.
Time and cost is easier said than done onto that, unless and until we set up a absolutely uniform process of controlling. I'm in the sector level. I'm not doing the actual job on the ground. But from the sector side, we have to control project side in three, 4 places. The first thing we talk about is the process. Whether my governance is in place, whether my work systems are in place, whether my delivery systems, which is my quality, which is my safety, which is my, the project handover, closeout. From there to everything are in place onto that. On what basis we talk about that you perform? Have I given him the right tool that the project manager or the project director can perform? So the basis, the language has to be set. The expectation is to be set, and that is how cannot be different from project to project. I need to have here in this particular essence, I need to have the one common language of delivery system. So that is how we start with the project, the initiation, the organizations, the skill sets, everything from my engineering documentation control to my engineering control, everything are to be set in process in a manner so that it remains one common language across the organization. Then only organization can become sustainable. That's all. Of course, this code is so large, you can't just finish in 2 minutes. But this is how it is.
I know, and as a moderator, I find it very difficult when we have 6 or 7 fantastic panelists and only so much time. So I almost feel like could have narrow the topics and narrow the panel, and we would get much more. But thank you so much, Mr. Srikumar. If I can come to you for last question to you, sir. As a user, as somebody who is worked with engineering, also has overseen airport development, a particular airport, etc. What are your requirements that you're not getting from? What is the data that you feel you're not getting, that you wish if you got, you would be able to do your job that much better, whether it's engineering or whether it's airport development?
I think we have to study the customer first. That customer study we are not doing it properly. That is one area, particularly the commercial usage of a space, where the customer behavior study we are not doing. And our planning like that. There in that area also we are trying to improve. As I told, our concentration is normally going for a runway system. It is our concentration is less in the terminal side. I think that also requires to be changed. Otherwise, in future it will be very difficult to face the competition. That's what I feel.
All right. Okay. Well, I would like to thank all of you. But before I do that and close the session, Mr. Sirohi, is there anything else you would like to say after you have paid for this webinar?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, it has been a pleasure talking to all of them. And, a couple of questions which comes to my mind. I mean, it was a wonderful discussion, and particularly few things which were mentioned by people like, I heard about vision. Computer vision, which was used many times. Mr. Parveshwaran spoke, what is very close to my heart. He said, whether outside India, 100 people are able to do the job, and here in India, we try to put 5,000 people. I think that's a huge shift that we have to bring in thought process. And we have to believe that, this robotics, automation, IoT, platforms, data. So platform is not about BIM. Platform is about, integrating all these pieces together. So together, I think we can solve it. We have to have a will, and we have to put a budget to start with. I always say technology will pay for itself, and it will pay multiple times on the same project. But in the beginning, it has to be mandated and budgeted, at least to start with. Okay. And this is the request which I would put to all the developers, to the airport authority, that somewhere we have to plan, we have to put it in the budget, and it will pay for itself within 6 to 9 months.
Okay. As I said, it's been a very interesting discussion, and I was given a very rich panel and a big panel, and but I think it's been very informative and very insightful for me. There were a lot of questions that were there in the chat and Q&A which we couldn't get to. What we will do is we have made a note of those, and we'll make sure to the appropriate panelists we will send those questions, and we'll get the answers to you within a week or so. We are going to probably use this in some form or the other on the Indian Infrastructure website. We will make sure that we take permission from you before we print anything or before we publish anything on the website or we print anything in the magazine. The only thing we request is when we come to you, please, if you can come back within a few days to say, is that okay or not okay, so that we're able to, do it while it's still relatively hot. It's been tremendous discussion, and for that we are grateful to Mr. Raj, Mr. Srikumar, Mr. Nag, Dr. Parmeshwar, Mr. Anandeswaran, Mr. Shankar Narayanan, and of course Mr. Sirohi. And I'm very happy to make acquaintance of all of you, and we hope to engage with you in our future events, virtual or physical. And thank you very, very much, sir. And
thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate